Check this out.
American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. Perfect purpose. And this is American football in Finland. We back. We back. I'm here with my guys, Coach Q, Chris Green. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on? We back, baby.
What's good? Yeah, it's been a minute.
Crazy part, even before we go any further, we're recording this like 2 or 3 weeks before it actually goes live. So we definitely back. The AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast. And now you can catch us visually here on YouTube. So wherever you listen or watch, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And anybody who doesn't hit the like button or the subscribe button, we know you're a hater. And that's cool. We ain't even worry about it no more. On to the show. All right, first down. Welcome to season 9 of AFF, guys. It's been almost a decade in this thing. Almost a decade. Let me be specific because I remember what it was. One year we did two seasons at once. So it's really like 8 years, not 9. It hasn't been like 9 years, but it is season 9 of what we did. Because we did the NFL one season. That was crazy. But anybody that thought, oh man, they're gonna do this show and we ain't gonna see them in a couple of years. What you gotta say now? I didn't think so.
Yeah,
we still here. We still here.
Yeah,
we're still here, baby. Yeah. So every week, we've been giving people what they want. Last year, we started doing a little video towards the end of the season. People loved it. They were like, hey, why don't y'all just do video? And for years, I've been saying, like, hey, that's just too hard. Well, it's 2024. Technology has caught up with us. Our schedules are somewhat malleable. We're able to do it. This summer, we're going all in. You're going to see us 3 times a week on the podcast. On the YouTube channel, we'll be on the regular Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that crap too. But we here. So as tradition, first down, what's been going on all season, guys? What's up with you? Q, you got it.
Not much, man. Just being around the family, enjoying this Florida weather, a little swimming and a little traveling, you know what I'm saying? Watching what's going on in the NFL still, still keep up with everybody. But just enjoying the days, man. That's it.
What about you, Chris?
Oh man, so winter's crazy here. I coached the university team, my local university team, the UE Bullets, and we had a monumental signing this year. We had the ELF MVP, Jadrian Clark, was our quarterback all season, and championship game. But by the time this is aired, we'll know who the winner is. But yeah, it's going to be a good one, playing up in Loughborough against the Durham Saints. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. And I've been commentating, doing my commentary stuff on the live streams as well with the home games. So that's been good fun. I always enjoy doing that season. So yeah, I've been keeping busy. Just doing the usual, hitting the gym, keeping myself to myself.
You know what? Now that you said it, Chris, about the commentary and stuff, and I said it earlier about, technology has caught up with us now. I'm thinking, man, I don't want to just make some, outlandish claims, but I'm thinking we should do a broadcast for the Maple Bowl this year, man. We should just do it.
Yeah.
If you're listening and watching, and if you got any juice with the SHAL, tell them, work with us, Route 2, we'll get at you. I'll probably send some messages here in a couple weeks anyways and see if we can make it happen. But I think for the Maple Bowl, we might want to do a little, side, commentation, just English for the rest of the world on the YouTube or something, put it live, see what happens. No disrespect to, the Finnish broadcast and Route 2, love it. We always follow. But, I think we got a little something to give them this year. We could probably technology is at the point now that I know that we can do that, guys. So that's why when you said that, Chris, it reminded me that we should try to make that happen. For me, my off season, it's been a whirlwind. Doing a lot of things that really don't have anything to do with like media stuff. I got into some real like football type stuff. Me and Coach Q did some things in Miami. Working with the Podium Bowl as I do and doing some podium prep stuff. I'm now joined with the Nordic All-Stars as a coach on their team. We're taking a team full of Nordic kids out to Seattle, Washington in May to play against some D1 recruits out there, some 4 and 5 stars in front of some D1 coaches. So it's interesting. This summer actually setting up a little camp here in Finland where we have some college coaches coming down here. So I've been doing a lot of, I guess, non-media type stuff, more like, I guess, event planning, I guess is something I would call it. And it's been interesting and it's been giving me a little bit of a drive. But also, I have been on my Grizzy to make sure that this season of AFF is something special. I feel like we said last year that it was actually going to be our last season, and instead we doubled down
right back
and decided, you know what, we're not going to just leave. We're not just going to leave. I swear last year I was like, yeah, this is going to be the last one. But now I guess doing something different for so long has given me kind of a renewed vibe this year. I'm super excited about everything that we have going for us this year, and I really just can't wait to get into it. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, we're doing team previews this week. Week number 1 for us, well, preview number 1 for us is going to be the 2023 reigning champions, the Porvoo. Am I holding this up right? Yeah. The Porvoo Butchers. That's that hat back there, baby. Champions. We're going to team, see what they have going into this season and see if there's anything or anybody that can stop them from repeating. And honestly, that's not really going to happen, but we'll give it a shot, see what we can get from it. All right, first things up, biggest changes for the Butchers. What do you got? Q, what do you got?
Biggest changes. I didn't really see anything that's like noticeable as far as that's gonna hurt them. You know what I mean? I think them bringing back their core guys again, bringing back Brandon Gwinner, Mickey. I think they're just going to be in the basically the front seat from the beginning of the season. I really feel like that, and I know they feel like I don't think they're good or something, but I do, and I respect them, man. They did what they needed to do last year, and they're gonna run it back. I do think they'll be in the running. I think they'll be right back at the championship game. I don't know. I can't say like they're gonna win it, but I think they'll be back just because I know that this organization did what they needed to do to make sure they do it again and have a chance to do it again. So as long as Brandon Gwinner's there, they got a chance. So, I don't see any major changes. Few players, here and there that could help and hurt, but for the most part, they still got that quarterback. So I think they still be pretty good.
What about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on it?
I think
biggest changes.
Yeah, the biggest change for me is that last season we were talking about them being maybe the 4, the 5 seed scraping the playoffs in the preseason. We're now talking about them as the favorites. So how are they going to cope with being the favorites this year, trying to go back to back? It's always hard going back to back. I know the Roosters did it for years and other teams did it for years as well, but it's difficult going back to back with any franchise. They've got the tools to do it because like Q said, they brought everyone back pretty much. So it's just how are they going to cope with that extra pressure? They're now the favorite to win. So how are they going to deal with that? And I think that's the biggest change for me. It's a more of a mentality thing rather than an actual personnel changes, I think.
That makes sense. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it from that aspect. Like, yeah, it's going to be different. For me, the biggest change for the Porvoo Butchers going into this season would be dealing without change. Does that make sense? We saw a team last year. They went through what 85 different imports at the linebacker / safety position. You know, their offense was always putting up points, but it was always a different mixture of how they did it. And defensively, they were not good until it really mattered. Their defense was very opportunistic, even though they gave up a lot of yards. When they did have takeaways, they were dynamic plays, pick sixes, fumbles in the red zone, stuff like that. And the biggest change from that this year is that you can't play like that again. The reason that was successful for them last year, similar to what Chris said, is because they were the underdogs. There's no way that a team is going to get up by 17 points like the Helsinki Roosters did last year and then just give you opportunities to come back this year because you're no longer under the radar. So the biggest change is how do you consistently play good all year? Because similar to what we were saying about the Crocodiles last year, everybody's going to give you their best shot. You're not going to get any easy, layup type situations in this season. Everybody's going to give you the kitchen sink. And for you to get over that hump, you can't be inconsistent. You have to be, steady, consistent football team playing at the highest level. I think that's going to be the biggest change for these guys is how can you play, at the highest level? I'm not 100% sure. But again, I feel like we're, trying to make up changes here. So that's what we'll do. And we'll move on. Up next, we're going to have an interview. We're going to talk to defensive lineman Niko NOUSIANEN from the Porvoo Butchers. All right. I'm here with Niko NOUSIANEN. Actually, before we get started, am I saying that even close to right?
It's a little bit close. NOUSIANEN. Almost.
NOUSIANEN.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Niko, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. Before we even get into it, congratulations on the championship last season, but that stuff is over. Now we're talking about this year. So first things first, my impression, I've been around, Butchers teams over the last 7 or 8 years and kind of always had the impression that the culture there was, we want to win, but we're going to do it our way. And then last year that came to fruition, the Butchers won. Like I would never say, a whole bunch of imports came in and did this or all these people from other teams came in. No, the Butchers won. And that was awesome to see. But my question to you would be, what's the motivation for bringing it back, trying to do a back-to-back? Like, I mean, I felt like it was one of those situations where half the team would just not come back this season, but that's not the case. So tell me in your own words, like what's your motivation or if you know anyone else's motivation for, wanting to, double down and repeat as champions in the Maple League?
Yeah, we have almost the same players that we had last season. We are bringing back almost the same imports what we had last season, and our team spirit is just great. We just want to make the Butchers in the top league. We have to want to be a top team in Europe, and we're not comfortable just winning once. We want to win it like many times in a row. We hungry though. We hungry. The winning is so fun though.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I guess I'm thinking more of like on the defensive side, you have a little more veteran presence than offensive side where, you got a lot of young bucks on the offensive line and stuff. So if you were to, talk about your team going into this season, now that you're, on the team, no longer on the sidelines, what are a couple of improvements you think you guys had this season? I mean, you're going to have coming up in the season. What things do you think you're going to do better?
We have to listen to coaches in the sideline, though. Who is going to the special teams in? Who is out? Know the playbook, like 100% know the playbook. especially in the offense. And about that's it. Play more aggressively in defense and do your thing. Know your work.
So I know you said earlier, you guys want to, win another title, another championship, but a lot of guys, and I do a lot of these interviews, whenever I ask them, like, what are your goals? They're always like, one game at a time. So I'm just gonna skip over that with you. And I'm gonna ask you, when you guys go into each game this year, what will be your goal during that game so that you can be successful? Like, is it one of those things where you're like, we want to make sure that we're doing our job, or Bill Belichick like, or is it all for one? What is the kind of mantra that you guys have going into the season?
We haven't talked about that with coaches. I mean, I don't coach this season. I play though. My knee is better.
What's it like with the players? What is the feeling? Like, how do you feel about what you guys are trying to accomplish on a week to week basis?
Well, we want to be better after every practice, and we will see what happens against Crocodiles. Of course, we're gonna win that, though. But I don't know. I don't know yet. We want to repeat the championship. That's the only thing what we have talked about with the players. We want to win again the Maple League.
Okay, focus on championship. I understand that. Okay, next question I got for you. You've been around the team a little bit longer now. What are some players? Let's throw out a couple of names of some guys that you think are going to be, instrumental for you this year that maybe everyone doesn't know. We know the main names, but throw out some guys who are going to be able to contribute and help you guys this year that people might not know about from the Porvoo Butchers team.
I start with the O-line. There's our left guard named Sauli Puustinen. He's a young guy. I think it's like his second season playing football, but he's stud, man. He's gonna be a beast next season, though. Alex Hirvonen, running back, young guy. He's gonna take a lot of leadership this season. Well, Mikko, I
want to jump in. I want to jump in on Alexi because I've seen him and he's one of my favorites now too. Who's faster, him or Lucas?
Damn.
I've heard the stories. I know they're real good friends. They're both
They are. Well,
speed.
I have seen the video where Alexi runs the 40-yard dash. If I believe that one, Alexi is faster than Lucas, but I don't know. They're both fast though, but Alexi he's fast. He's fast.
Yeah.
But after Alexi, I was just saying that Lucas Eerola, but everybody knows him already, but he's a star too. Young players who are taking the responsibility in the team. They're like young leaders in the team, what we want. And there's not always the senior guys are yelling at the practice, that they're doing their thing too. So I'm happy for that.
That's awesome, man. Okay. Last question. I'm going to let you get out of here. Told you this was going to be brief. I'm not going to keep you here all day. Last thing I wanted to ask from you, Niko, is what are you excited about in this 2024 Maple League season? Outside of just, the Butchers and what you guys going on, is there any narrative that you're just really excited about seeing this year from the Maple League?
Only me or the team?
Oh, whatever you want to do.
Well, I'm excited that I can play again. My knee is a lot better. I get injured in 21 against Butchers when I played in the Crusaders, but I'm happy that I can do that football thing again, and I'm healthy. I can run, I can tackle, I can do what I love to do. But I don't know with the team. They want to win the championship.
Yeah. Win the championship. That's good enough, Niko, man. I'm excited to see you back out there as well. We know you're one of the best out there, so it'll be good to see if you return to form this year. And again, good luck on this season, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Calling all youth football players. Are you ready to shine this midsummer? Join us at the AFF Nordic Challenge, June 18th through 21st in Helsinki. Showcase your skills to USA college coaches, train with some of the top coaches in Europe, and compete in one-on-ones. Get insider tips at exclusive recruiting sessions and seize international opportunities. You can even win big with camp-sponsored prizes. Space is limited, so register now And that was Niko in the interview that we did earlier in the week. Now moving on to the Butchers obstacles. What are some obstacles you think these guys are going to have going into this season? Chris, we'll start with you this time.
I guess there's been a lot of changes around the league, especially with the heavyweight team, the Kuopio Steelers. You know, we talk about them being a dynasty. Obviously, couldn't come through with it last year, but they've had a head coaching change.
Whoa. Only me and you talked about them being a dynasty. Q never
Right.
bought into that.
Yeah,
That man says, nah.
Don't say we.
Yeah.
No, y'all did.
I don't know. I think he maybe did admit it. At some point. But yeah, I mean, the Steelers have had a lot of changes. So dealing with a team like that, and then obviously with the turnaround of imports on other teams, you know, the Crusaders have got a whole new batch of imports. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamic of figuring out the team's early doors, because they had the blueprint to beat the teams last year, but it's now figuring out that blueprint this year and making sure that they get their guys in the right spots, in the right places against these new imports, because some of them are unknown, some of them we know about. So it'll be interesting to see their matchup against the new imports of the league, and I think that'll be the biggest obstacle is looking at the new imports in the league. Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Q?
I think the biggest that Porvoo will have is trying to enter the run game and have it a little stronger than it was last year, because I did a good job last year of it, but it wasn't like I don't think anybody feared their running game. This year, bringing in a running back, they got, now you have to be a little more balanced than maybe you have been in the past. So now, instead of Brandon Gwinner having to throw the ball 30, now you can hand the ball out to the running back and let him do a lot of that work. So I think the obstacle for me is just to get used to Brandon, make those risky throws on the regular. You know what I'm saying? Because you really don't want to, even though they look good sometimes, but you really just want to keep it as safe sometimes as possible. But when you're throwing the ball 40 times, you're just taking too many chances. But they'll be a lot better. But so I think that'll be the biggest thing, was them adjusting to having a strong running game. But other than that, obstacles they're gonna have, I mean, besides just getting used to being the ones everybody want to beat, So, than what they went through last year, because when everybody thinks they can beat you or beat you, maybe at a point they feel like can beat them again. But now you're coming back to that second season with those same guys, and you should be a lot better. 10 times better now. And I think that's just to be the major obstacle, is just them getting used to not having to throw the ball in around so much.
That makes sense. For me, what am I thinking? I think the biggest obstacle for this team, I'm going outside the box with this one again, I think it's a schedule. I think it's them having a schedule and having to be able, similar to what I said earlier about, they have to be consistent this season. These schedules that they've had, I mean, you play 12 games over 15, 16 weeks. It's a long schedule. And a lot of times these teams that have more domestic and homegrown players, which the Butchers do, have a lot of guys that are from Porvoo. The schedule really ruins some of their weeks when they have to play on a Thursday night or a Friday night and people have work in the morning, or they have to play in Kuopio or Seinäjoki or Vasa on a Saturday. I mean, I don't actually have the schedule in front of me, so this could be just 100% wrong, but I do know that those type of trips are the games that teams usually don't bring their best, or they're not able to perform at the level they need to, and those end up being losses. Even last year, there was a few games they had where we're like, man, Butchers didn't play that well. On the podcast, we just kept it 100. That's what we saw, and that's what we reported on. And I had personal conversations with people, and they're like, nobody came to practice this week. I mean, we didn't talk about that on the podcast. That's not our point. But that's what happens sometimes. Like, it happens on random occasions based on everybody's schedule. And we have to remember that the Maple League is played during the summer in a country that only has about 2 weeks worth of summer. So like people are out here saying, on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, instead of me spending time with my family or going to the summer house or going to the lake, getting drunk with my boys, I have to go to practice on Thursday, do a walkthrough on Friday, play on Saturday. Or I have to go to practice on Thursday, play on Friday, and recover on Saturday instead of going out to the lake. Because maybe I'm not, 20 years old. Maybe I'm 25, 26, and I need a day to recover. So for me, I mean, even you, Q, probably you, Chris. I mean, you do like 8,000 sports right now. That's not a big deal. That's what you signed up for. Like that's what you signed up for. It's like, hey, that's the life. But for most of these players, that's not what they signed up for. When they were 16, 17 years old, they wanted to play a hobby and they found that they loved this sport. And now they're at a point in their lives where they have all these other responsibilities. So I think the biggest thing for them is the schedule, because we're going to see them play weeks where maybe they don't want to, show up that week. And we're going to find out how bad they really want to repeat, because the Butchers don't have to repeat this year. There's no pressure on them to win back to back. Like that was never like in the cards. No one was like, oh, the Butchers are going to be this huge dynasty in the mid 2020s. No one saw that coming. So if they don't win the Maple Bowl this year, the only people that will be disappointed are the Butchers. No one else will be like, oh, that's crazy they didn't win. But it'll be a testament to their will to win, because they'll have to do things a little bit different because they can't eke in. They have to go in there strong. And I think the schedule is one thing that they're going to look at. They're going to say, okay, this week, we have a little bit of a trap game. We're playing a team that's not as good as us. We have to go travel to them. We have to make sure people come to practice that week. We have to make sure that we go over small details, even though we should win this game. And I think that's a very difficult obstacle, because a lot of teams don't pass that test in Finland. We've seen it year after year. A lot of teams late in the season, that's when teams end up not going undefeated, because they lose like a random game in week 9 or 10 just because they have a little dip. And for the Butchers, that's what they're looking at, is will they have that dip this year? In my personal opinion, they should go undefeated. I think the Maple League is set up that if you're the top team, you pretty much can go without losing. The only time I think the top teams, yeah. I think that if that's not what you're going for, I don't know what you're doing, because normally the difference between like the undefeated teams and the teams that lose a game or two before getting to the championship is that little bit of lack of focus in the middle of the season. Every team that we've seen that has 1 or 2 losses, I can't even remember if a team has had 2 losses and won the Maple Bowl. But if a team has like 1 loss and wins the Maple Bowl, that 1 loss was like a fluky loss, and we're like, I can't believe they lost it. Or even at the end of the season when the Roosters and Kuopio would just let the backups play, which to me still is, it is what it is, but TIF, because that won't fly in another country. But that's what I'm saying, is that for this team, if going undefeated isn't the thing, you just want to make playoffs, be in a good position so that you can win it, that's cool. Keep it TIF. But that's the obstacle, is anybody can do that. People do that all the time. The undefeated thing is what really sets you apart from other teams, is saying that, hey, we're so focused, we're never going to let you feel like you can beat us. That's the obstacle, is them and their schedule and having to win every week in that schedule. So we got another interview, Mikko SEPPANEN coming up, and we'll get to that one. All right, I'm here with Mikko SEPPANEN from the Porvoo Butchers. Mikko, what's going on, man?
It's great. Summer is coming. We're ready for the season.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it. First thing, this is crazy to me. I was really excited that you guys won the championship and proved me wrong about the whole Dallas Cowboys things. Like, I love that. But I also thought that most of you guys were going to just like ride off into the sunset, and that was like it was going to be like on top. That's not the case. A lot of you guys are coming back for another season. So my first question is, what's the motivation for coming back again? What's your motivation? What's the team motivation? Like, what are you guys like? What is getting you excited about trying to run it back?
Well, I think for many of our guys, it was that the first step was to win the playoff game. We have been in the playoff many times. And for me, like, that was probably the hardest game of the season because I had been so many times in that situation and losing that game. But when we won it, it felt so great. And we felt like after that playoff game that all the pressure is at the Crocs. Like, for example, like Mickey and all the guys who came back for that season, we were ready to go like 2 3 season to get into the Maple Bowl and win it. But now that we won it, I think it was many guys thought about it after the season, like it was this, like this is we're done. But we just I think we just came hungry. We want to win it again. And we want to have that feeling again. And that's the main focus on this season. Like if you come to our practice, we don't even talk about last season. We don't care anymore. We just want to win it again.
That's awesome, man. Because that really stands out to me because I mean that was not at all what I was thinking after y'all won. So to see that y'all still have that like hunger and fire to win more and do it more consecutively, that's awesome. So getting into this season, I know we don't want to talk too much about last season, but you guys come back with almost the same roster. So my question is, what kind of improvements can we expect to see from you guys? Like what areas or what positions have y'all made like vast improvements going into this season?
Well, I would say that we got a new offensive coordinator, and I think he's gonna bring some spice on that offense that we had last season. Like you probably, I don't want to say too much, but you probably gonna see same offense but a little bit more spice on it, and we're gonna try to make defense think more than we did last year.
Well, that's not. I mean, you obviously aren't giving away any secrets there, but you have a very versatile group back there. I guess if I was to say it from my point of view, last year y'all were very vanilla because you had so many options, and I'm assuming that with the spikes, without giving away any secrets, would involve moving some of the options around. Would that be correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see it. I expect it now, so that's pretty cool. Um, Next thing I wanted to ask you was, going into the season, new team. What are you guys focused on to make sure that you're successful this season? Putting away everything from last year. You can't bank on anything from last year. Going into this season, what are some of the things you guys are practicing or talking about or philosophically to focus on making sure that you win, every game that you go into?
Well, during the offseason, we have talked about a lot that this season ain't gonna be that easy. And we like inside of the team, we have that underdog mentality that we still like got something to prove and like we ain't just gonna the Maple Bowl ain't gonna give it to us. So we have to compete, we have to be ready, we have to watch film. But I will say that the biggest difference is that now everybody wants to be a starter. Like if you
Ah,
come to the practice, everybody's giving it all. Everybody's like trying to make a play, and that's just awesome because we got like backups making plays, and the starters are hyped. So we hype everybody just to get better as a team because we have seen that many times during the last few seasons that people get injured, and we need to have guys that are ready to step up when we need them. And that was like what we had last season, and that's why the outcome was so great.
that's awesome, man. I think you guys all being all in on it, that's something that is not very common from a lot of teams. So that's going to probably be one of the advantages for you guys too. That also reminds me, I wanted to know, are there any players, on your team that you expect to step up? You were talking about, the backups, making plays this year. Are there any names that you can give us of guys that maybe we need to look out for and learn their names a little bit better going into the season?
Well, I think on the whole offensive line, they have done like great job during the offseason. But also Alex Hirvan, like he's taking
Okay.
away like a big steps. And last season he didn't have too much playing time, but this season we definitely gonna use him more. And with the speed that he has, he's gonna pull his name out there.
Okay, so I got to ask you this: who's faster, Alexi or Lucas? Ah,
It's hard, but right now I don't know their what's right now, but I think they are almost the same. Probably Alexi will be a little bit more faster right now.
okay, all right, okay. That's what I was thinking. I just didn't want to say it. I've seen them both run too, and I think they're both really fast young players. But Alexi got a little something to him, so I'm glad you threw his name out there. This season, the rules in the Maple League changed. You guys are coming back from winning a championship. A lot of a lot of teams and personnel are changing around the league. What is something that you're really excited for with the Maple League this season? Either for you personally or for the Butchers, like what is something that you're like really excited about seeing or that's going to be happening this year?
Well, I will say that many teams have had like a lot of changes. If you look at the rosters and
Yeah,
who has retired and who's not. So I think this season we're gonna have a lot of young talent that is gonna step up, and that's what I'm gonna be most excited about, like to see new faces and new names making plays.
that's awesome, Miko. Well, that's it for me. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Good luck to you and the Butchers for the rest of for this entire season.
Thank you, and see you on the summer.
All right. Last thing we're going to talk about with the Butchers is keys to success. What do they need to do to be successful? Q, we'll let you lead this one off.
All right. I think the Butchers need to be them, and then what I mean by them is that have that identity. Get those first few wins, and put yourself in a position to where you control, where you play in the playoffs. Game management, time management for your players. It's going to be some tough games, and they need to understand that people are gunning for them. So they need to stay focused. Try to, anybody can get injured, but just try to stay healthy. Because I think they're going to have a great. But they have to just start the season out that way. Like most of the time, like Chris said earlier, it's so hard to go back to back. So in some instances it's impossible, but I think Porvoo is in a position to where they can go, back to back or another time. In order for them to be successful, they're just gonna have to find their identity early. Find it early, get on a rhythm, put the ball in the end. Nothing beats that. Nothing is better than that type of camaraderie when you start the season off, knowing that everything you worked on paying off now. So I think just them being them being consistent, let Brandon Winter do what he do, SEPPANEN, let Mickey, all those guys are the Zach Wright full season, like, let's do when everybody's gunning for you, and that'll test your heart, that'll test your team. So they just need to be Porvoo and be aggressive like we know they are, and I think they'll be fine. But if they come out, lots of games, then you put yourself in a bad situation. But I think those coaches over there are going to have those guys ready. So they just need to go out and do what Porvoo does now.
What about you, Chris? What do you think? A couple keys to success for the squad.
Dallas Cowboys. That's what I'm going to say early doors.
Say what?
Just throwing that one out there.
They already start being this.
Don't be the Dallas. And what I mean by that is don't lose games that you're supposed to win. Because time and time again, this organization, over the past few years, they've lost games that they should have won. And it's in a tight situation. So win the games you're supposed to win. As it sounds, but it's those trap games. We talked about it earlier. Don't get caught in those trap games. Don't trip over on the trap games, because they're as important as the big games. Because you don't want to be known as the Dallas Cowboys anymore, right? You want to go back to back. If you go back to back, maybe we stop calling you the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe. But I think also as well.
I'm not calling them that. I'm just throwing this out there. Like I'm done with that. Don't say we, Chris, because I'm not calling them that.
That's over with now.
They put that in the grass. Yeah, I can't say they can. I mean, that's a team name I will not speak of. It's that name we don't speak of out here no more for me.
Fair. So for me, actually, like X's and O's wise, it's getting the ball in your playmakers' hands. Going, like Q said earlier, working that play action off it, working that option with Brandon's legs. Let Brandon cook. That's what he needs to do. Look. And he'll cook with his legs and he'll cook with his arm. And we showed it last year. Well, they showed it last year. His arm talent is good. And it's the best we've ever seen him throw in a whole season. And I think because he was healthy as well, if that O-line holds up again, I mean, they're going to be successful this season. If they can let Brandon cook, they're going to be there or thereabouts. Definitely. So, yeah, it's all about the run action and the option to get the guys open downfield because they've got good receivers. All right, yeah, they've lost one of their key guys this year to Germany, but they've got good receivers still.
I think y'all both focusing on the wrong damn thing. And I say that respectfully. Like, y'all are making really good points. The run game, play action, you gotta let Brandon cook. That's all valid. But it's said time and time again, and it's one of the best things ever said and always holds true. Defense wins championships. And last year, I've said it earlier, their defense was not good, but it was opportunistic. Zach Wright, legitimately, he won a game for them against the Roosters by his big play on defense because the defense wasn't good, but he made turnovers that turned into points for his team. He had three turnovers turned into points from a fumble recovery, 2 interceptions. One of them went back for 6, or did both of them go back for 6? I don't remember correctly. I think they both actually went back for 6.
Both of them.
Either way, that's the type of guy he is, and that's great. And in the championship game, their entire unit stepped up. The linebacker. Important linebacker came out. He got the MVP of the game, I think, and that was great. But as a unit, they were in charge of that game. They controlled Senioki, and that's the only time I've seen them play like that the whole year. And that's when they look dominant. If that defense comes back this year, you're looking at a lot of 50 burgers to like 7 or 14 points, which is much different than what we've seen. Or we've seen a lot of, they're putting up points, but they're also giving up points. Yeah, they're scoring, but he has to. Imagine a team that when they get up by, 3 or 4 touchdowns, they're not afraid because they know that they can hold the lead because their defense is good. A defense that can hold.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for them to be successful is for that defense to step up this year and be more consistent than they were last year and be to the point that they can be dominant. If that defense is dominant, we saw last year, sometimes it took the offense a little while to get going. It always got going at some point, and that offense was able to put up points, but sometimes it took a while. And that's how offense works. Offense is, I don't know if I've said this before on the pod, but offense is harder than defense. And not to say that the players or something are better, but offense, there's a lot of like moving parts that have to work together and work together consistently all the time. While in defense, your whole job is to create chaos on the offense. Offense has to be perfect to score. Defense just has to mess something up. And their defense couldn't mess anything up last year. So if they can do that this year, they're gonna have a breeze doing exactly what I said and going undefeated. Now I don't know if they're gonna do that, but if they are that good and that consistent on defense, we're looking at another 12-0. Mate, what is it? 14-0 if you win the 2 games in the playoffs and back-to-back champions. I get a second hat, right? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Hey, we said it last year how bad their corners were. Their corners weren't great last year, so I knew you were going to say defense, Purvis, and not good unless Seppanen was playing there. They needed him in the tight situations, but yeah, their corners were not good. Yeah, they had Zach in the middle, but the corners were terrible.
Yeah, I still can't believe they.
Yeah,
Mikko
wanted. They fixing that now.
Mikko, one of the best corners to ever play for the Butchers, man. I said it. Yeah, I said it and I meant it. He one of the best they ever had. But that's it on the Butchers. Y'all got any last things y'all want to say about this team before we get out of here? We're pretty much that's it for the Butchers. We're gonna take a quick break and then do our last words. But any last things about this team, about this preview that you want to talk about?
I'm excited to see if they can go back to back, because I don't think a lot of the league would have called it last season. I mean, they weren't even picked to be in the championship game. They were like a 4, maybe a 5 seed, just scraped the playoffs. But they were the best team in the league, consistently the best team in the league last year.
We had them at a solid 2 after midsummer. We had them at a solid 2 after midsummer.
They needed to put it together.
Yeah, true.
So it'll be interesting to see if they can go back to back with what they've got and with the change. It's always dynamic in Finland because you just never know what you're going to get, because all the imports are there's new imports coming in, there's different guys, other guys are staying, different head. There's so many changes year in, year out. So it's good to see the Butchers hanging on to most of their guys. And I would like to see them go back to back. It would be good to see them go back. I think they almost deserve a shot to go back to back with what they produced last season. So yeah, I'm excited to see them play this year and what they.
What about you, Q? Any last things about this squad?
I think I'm curious to see, what and how dominant they look. I also would like to see them play an international game before the season. Are
they supposed to do that?
Not a lot of down. I don't know. I don't know if they are.
I don't think so.
I haven't heard anything, but I'm just saying, they do a lot of international play, and I think that makes them, a lot better too. Experience wise, I would love to see Porvoo play somebody outside, because if you go back to back, you should be nationally ranked, obviously. In some capacity, I want to see them in, in EFL, whatever. Let's see if you really like what we think you are. See if you are. So, but that's not out of my control. It's just a what if. But I do want to see how dominant they can be if they really are. So, we seen them win one. Let's see if they can repeat it.
I'm just gonna say this. Stockholm Bean Machines are willing to play anybody in Finland at any time, anywhere. They stay in the play.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if the Maple League reached out to the Mean Machines and said, "Hey, I want to play in our league," they probably say, "Yeah." I'm just throwing that out there, Butchers.
Yeah, they stay. They ready. They out there and play.
Yeah, they want to play. So if you want that smoke, I know there's no way to get a team from Finland to play like those other international leagues or schedules, because I don't know the specifics of it, but I don't think they're allowed to play it during season, so it has to be preseason. And usually in April, the only teams that are even willing to do something like that would be specific teams in Germany, like Schwäbisch Hall, a couple Austrian teams, but now the Austrian teams are now in the ELF, and then the Mean Machines, the teams in Sweden. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then you don't really want to play. I mean, the Mean Machines are the only team from Sweden that you want to play, because they're the only team that you really think is going to give you a matchup against the best team from Finland, in my opinion. Not to say that's accurate, but outside looking in, their champion is pretty much the only thing that you want in Finland, because when there was the NEFL, what'd y'all do to them? Q, what'd you do?
Carlstead.
Yeah.
Stepped over him. Over him for another ring.
And then when Stockholm came to Helsinki, they got a close L. And then finally last year, when Kuopio went to Stockholm got lucky, like the Rams got lucky against Tennessee Titans. And if you don't know football, then that don't mean nothing. But if you know football, you know what happened.
Yeah.
Well, old boy reached out there. Look, I was just talking about this actually on this other podcast in Sweden, so I'm just gonna repeat this story if you haven't heard it. But when Kuopio played against Stockholm last year, on the last play of the game, they literally had no idea like how to actually score and just gave the ball to Lee Anthony Reason over. Like just said Hutt tossed him the ball and then he almost scored. And he's that good. Like they were this close to like pulling off that game against the Mean Machines. And I was like, that's just ridiculous. But also it's a testament to how good the team is. They were so good that the other team didn't feel they had a play. They did not have a play to call and just gave it to their best player. And again, if Porvoo wants to smoke and wants to, level up, I still think Stockholm the team to do it. Coach Pilbeck, great guy. Reach out to him. He ain't never shied away from a challenge. So, I know getting to Porvoo is more difficult though.
I know we're going here, but yeah, the Mean Machines are playing the team in the UK, the Manchester Titans, who won the division over here last year. So that'll be an interesting game to see how they fare up against them.
I'll be there. I already have it on my schedule.
Yeah. I think the Mean Machines are going to give them the smoke, but yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, it is what it is. They are the Mean Machine. But that's it for the Butchers. So let's see if we got another ad coming up.
Hey there, fans of American football in Finland. Want to show some love and support to your favorite podcast? For just €3, you can buy us a cup of coffee and help keep our podcast running strong. But why stop at one cup? Why not support each host with a cup? Visit buymeacoffee.com and show your support today. Cheers to keeping the conversation going.
All right. And that is it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Guys, any last words before we get out of here?
No, baby. That's number 1 down. We got a few more to go.
Yeah, just excited to be back. It's been a minute, like I said at the start, and yeah, just excited for the season now. Yeah, 1 down, like you said. On to the next one.
All right, so we want to wish the Porvoo Butchers, good luck this season. Hope you're able to do everything you want to do. We'll be watching every week as usual right here on the AFF podcast. You can subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social media channels at American Football in Finland. Until next time, never forget
TIF.
We go.
We go.